right, welcome to the Barrett and Baxa podcast, Media Schmedia. We have a new tagline here at the B&B.
I love it.
Steve and I think this is going to be a good tagline, and it's what we're doing here. We're making fun of the media. We're making fun of anything else that we feel like making fun of. So you'll hear us say Media Schmedia quite a lot, and let us know what you think. And yes, I'm wearing my Sex Panther brand cologne t-shirt. As everyone knows, 60% of the time, it works every time. And the reason that Sex Panther brand is such a great cologne is that it's made with bits of real panther. So that's how you know it's good. Also, it's illegal.
Bob,
it's
you've
illegal
always smelled like panther.
It's illegal in 9 countries. It burns the nostrils. Now, there are some people that say it smells like a diaper full of Indian food or even Bigfoot's dick. Those people are crazy.
You're going to do the whole bit. You're going to do the whole bit from Anchorman right
And if
now.
you don't know what we're talking about, we don't want you watching. Media Schmedia.
You don't deserve Media Schmedia because you don't know Anchorman.
Right.
The best
podcast,
media. Bob, I used to have, when I watched Anchorman, I thought to myself, wait, I have parties like that.
Yeah, this is a documentary. It's a documentary because we have all seen people who will read a question mark out of the teleprompter. We know people who anything it says in the teleprompter, they don't know what they're saying. They will say, "Go F yourself, San Diego." If it says that in the teleprompter, they will read it. We know people like this. I have seen people read like something was left in from the previous day. It makes no sense.
And the person
just reads right through. I have seen this happen. So Anchorman was a documentary.
It really was.
Also people arguing about the ratings books. That was another thing.
And watching their Emmy acceptance speeches and things like that. Wow.
When Wes Mantooth is the second place state. Of course, Ron Burgundy's on the number 1 station, KVWM.
But Wes Mantooth
is
don't make fun of his mom, though.
Right. And he's like...
Dorothy Mantooth is a saint.
Is a saint. When Ron says, we beat you in the ratings, and he's like, those ratings didn't take into account households with more than one television and other things of that nature. And I've seen people have essentially that argument about the ratings.
CNN and MSNBC are having that argument about the ratings right now.
Yeah, they really are. Man, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on CNN these days.
Hey, I'll tell you.
Tell us what's coming up here on the Media Schmedia B&B podcast.
So coming up, a Media Schmedia meltdown. Are you already tired of hearing that Media Schmedia? Media Schmedia meltdown as Abby Phillips, she's on CNN. She cannot keep control of her show anymore. There was a shouting match on her show so bad that she had to toss to commercial. Now, rarely does that happen, that two people on one of these talk shows go at it so much that they actually have to do that. In fact, sparks were flying just about everywhere. There were also sparks flying between DNC co-chair David Hogg and James Carville. So you got the old against the new. So that was a good one. And we're going to play that. That was actually from a podcast that we're going to show you. We'll be making fun of Bill Belichick and his sorority girlfriend. That's so easy to do. That's just like, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, that relationship right there. Kamala, speaking of fish and animals, Kamala Harris brought up elephants as a way, which is weird because elephants are the symbol of the Republican Party.
Right.
Bringing up
She did
elephants
not think
protecting
that through.
themselves.
Right.
She didn't think that through. Either that or someone who wrote her speech, because I don't think she writes her speeches. No, she just ad-libs the cackling there. And then there's going to be a whole segment where Bob and I are going to speak in man code. It's going to be white man code. So a lot of you out there are not going to understand if you don't understand the white man code that people like Bob, myself,
it's only for white people.
Governor,
it's code talking.
Code talking. Governor Tampon Tim here in Minnesota, where I am, we're the only ones that know how to code talk. So that's what's coming up today on the show. But I want to start by just I'm going to call this out, and I don't know if you watched it, but my favorite podcast, aside from Barrett and Baxa, is this new, and maybe it's not as new as I think, but it's new to me, the Talking Baby podcast. It's hilarious. It's the babies talking to the baby's dog and
to his sippy cup. He talks to his sippy cup. here I'm going to have on the most important person in my life, my sippy cup. And the sippy cup is like, I don't understand why you always throw me. What have I done to you to make you throw me across the room? And he's like, well, for like 10 to 15 seconds, you're the most important part of my life. And then I don't care about you and I throw you. And if you wind up under the couch, so be it. It's not important to me.
Look, if you haven't seen Talking Baby podcast, just go find it. Just Google it. It is hilarious. And whoever's doing it's obviously AI, and it's a baby. It's kind of like the what is it? The E-Trade commercials where the baby's giving
the baby's
advice
mouth is talking.
He's playing tennis.
There's a dog.
Yeah. It's that is great. But
very clever.
Bob,
but the funny thing about it is he's a baby and he's talking in perfect sentences, but he only knows like what a baby knows. So he's like, why am I here? Like, what is this world? Yeah. I don't know. And you're super hairy and you don't talk in words.
Like you're the only person I know that's covered in hair completely.
Yeah. What are you?
And
the dog's like, I don't know what I am.
I don't think about things like that.
Yeah, I don't really think about that.
All right.
So anyway, Talking Baby podcast, very funny.
Yeah. So let's move on to the easiest thing of the day, and that is this interview with Bill Belichick. We're not even going to waste any time with clips on the Bill Belichick interview, but his girlfriend's there, and they're doing the CBS This Morning interview. And Bob, what is up with that relationship? That's just so ridiculous.
I know. And I mean, you and I are both in relationships and we are both in our 50s and we're with age appropriate women. I don't understand. I mean, I guess I do understand why guys do it, but it's so weird to me for guys in their 50s and 60s, and Bill Belichick's in his 70s, for guys that old to be dating a woman 50 years younger than they are is just really, really strange. I do not understand it. It's very weird.
And obviously, it's not as uncommon as you think. But so I live outside of a pretty wealthy little enclave of Minnesota here. So I see in restaurants and stuff, I see a lot of these very wealthy people with their wives or girlfriends. And I can tell you, I mean, I know some people personally that you look at them and then you look at their wife and they look like their daughter or their granddaughter. And that person who is a lot of times someone that's a businessman who's very wealthy, been very successful, but the one thing that they do is they go out and they embarrass the hell out of themselves with one of these people that is so obviously too young for them that you just know, like, there's no love in that relationship.
No,
she wants your money. She
wants
your money, and the only way that you can get a woman that looks like that is with your money. So those two things come together, and I guess both sides just agree that, look, we're not really going to love each other. We are just going to be like this. So, I mean, it's and then when you see the girl pawing all over and like loving on this grizzly old man,
it's like, sweetheart, you're hilarious. Not into him. You're not. Stop. It would be more realistic if she would have a look of disgust on her face, because we know that's what she's actually feeling. So
and everybody around you is giving you the look of disgust. I was telling you the other day that we were talking about this. I've gotten on the elevator with one of my daughters, and I specifically remember I was at a hotel and I'm on the elevator with my daughter, and this other couple was looking at me like, you pedophile, you son. And I wanted to stop and go, hey, shut the F up. That's my daughter, you idiot. But it's unfortunate that I had to feel the need because of guys like that, these douchebag rich guys that, like, you know, get their girls off of whatever website they get them off of, Finding Arrangement or Seeking Arrangement, something like that, where you pay for their college, you know, tuition, or you pay off their auto loan and you get to have a sexual relationship with this person. They ruin it for the rest of us that have young daughters, and then you get looked at like you're some kind of a pedophile,
like you're a weirdo. I actually have a stepdaughter who's 19 and she's very beautiful, and she and I she's coming home from college. We have a dinner date set up for next weekend, and she has the type of sense of humor where she would absolutely purposely try to like act like we are on a date just to mess with people at other tables. She would find that very funny. So and that would be kind of funny to do that. But yeah, I don't understand Bill Belichick. He's completely destroyed his legacy. He's made himself into a joke. He's a joke now.
And
mean, he's a
I
porn
don't
star.
even know what her name is. I mean, I can't even, I
I
have
do
no
know
idea.
Jordan something. Jordan, I don't
Jordan
know her
something.
last name.
We'll just
Yeah.
call her Jordan something.
Jordan
Jordan
something.
something has
Media,
ruined.
Schmedia,
I think
whatever.
Jordan something has
Schmarty.
ruined her life because Belichick is gonna, he's 70. Okay, let's say he makes it to 80, 85,
Right.
whatever,
Right.
and then he has he dies. That's 15 years from now, and then Jordan somebody is going to find herself at 40, going, "Huh, wow, I
Yeah.
never had real love in
Right.
my life."
Yeah, I know. Apparently, Bill Belichick's daughter-in-law. He has adult sons who are, his sons are old enough to be Jordan's father,
Right.
and apparently, one of his daughters-in-law is very upset about this. And who knows? Maybe she has dollar signs in her eyes, and she sees Bill spending a lot of the money on this girl.
Yeah.
The whole
To
thing is
me,
weird.
the
I don't
big tell
understand it.
was when she cut off the "Where did you meet? How did you meet?"
Yeah,
question. Like
and
that's
you know
pretty
what?
obvious. There's something going on there.
Well, here's the thing. Everyone knows they met on a plane. So there's nothing weird there. But
Did
Megyn
they meet
Kelly,
on a plane after maybe meeting on the
I don't,
internet and
on an
arranging a meeting on
OnlyFans,
a
I don't
plane?
know. But Megyn Kelly made an excellent point, and this shows how this chick Jordan is not media savvy. If you are being interviewed and you go out of your way to say, "Don't ask me about that thing that happened in the dugout behind the stadium," that's the only thing they now want to know
Right,
about is what
right.
happened in the dugout behind the stadium. They might not have brought it up if you didn't say, "Don't bring it up." So by making it clear, don't ask us how we met, she has now, it's like red meat to a pack of dogs. Now everyone wants to look into the story of how they met. If
Yeah.
they had just said, "Oh yeah, it's pretty innocuous, we met on a plane, it's no big deal," that would have been the end of it right there. Now everyone wants to look into what was going on. Why was Bill on the plane? Did something weird happen on? Were they in the Mile High Club? Like everyone has questions now. She completely screwed up there, big time. So,
Yeah. Big
whatever.
time.
That's enough time on them, I think.
All right, clank it. All right, Bob, I got an announcement to make. I have a surprise for you today.
Oh, good.
So you know that I look at the analytics of where people are downloading the podcast and where people are watching and viewing.
Yes.
And so we've moved into another continent now.
Oh, nice.
And so we now get this, we have downloads in Sweden
Nice.
and Switzerland,
Wow. I love
the
the
United Kingdom,
Okay.
Germany,
Wow.
and get this, just this morning, the first time, Russia.
Wow, look at that. My nephews
we
are
made it
Russian.
all the way to Russia.
Nice. All right. I
But
have
you know
Russian
what?
nephews.
We're covering about half the United States right now, but you know where we don't have anybody listening? And
Where?
I can tell you why based on the last election just last
what
week.
is it? Where is it?
Canada.
Where?
Nobody,
of course.
nobody cares in Canada about
No,
us.
they don't like us. They're not into the conservative thing.
I guess
Canada's voting for their own demise. I mean, they're voting to destroy their own country. It's very
and there are a lot of
weird to
people
watch.
out there that say this Pierre what's his name?
I don't know how to say his name.
Cares?
Oliver.
I think he's in the trash heap of politics now or whatever.
He was great with that interview where he was eating the apple. It was the greatest thing ever. Everyone
but that's when he gave up. I mean, that's what people are saying, that is the problem, is that he got so much attention for his attitude right out of the gate that he just gave up and thought, it's mine. I'm going to win.
Yeah.
And he lost.
I mean, Trump was doing rallies right up until the day before the election. You say what you want about Trump. You cannot argue about his work ethic and how much. I mean, the guy started, first of all, he announced way early, and then he was nonstop campaigning, nonstop. There was never a time when Trump was not campaigning.
Well, he's still campaigning.
Yeah.
I mean, there are basically campaign ads out there now.
Right.
Like the pick your fighter, and then they come out with we already picked our fighters.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, Scott, speaking of fighters, so our first clip is going to be about this. God, what is their name? I can't even remember. Anna
Navarro.
No, not Anna Navarro, but Anna Navarro is in it. But Abby Phillips.
Abby Phillips. Oh, the host is Abby Phillips, and the black dude is Michael
Singleton.
I don't understand that name, Michael, but okay, whatever.
Yeah. So this woman is losing control of her show, day by day. Like it is just turning into a shouting match. And in the situation we were talking about and watching, Anna Navarro and Shermichael Singleton start screaming at each other to the point where she has to go to commercial. So I want to play this clip, but I'm going to play it in sections because it's so long and the fight gets so brutal that I'm going to pause it every once in a while, and
so we can make fun of it.
Yeah, and so that we can continue to make fun of it. So let me play this. So this is during the past week. Everything that we talk about is happening in the past week. But on CNN, and it's a talk show. There are about 6 people sitting around.
What's it called? Do you know the name of the show?
I think it's called Abby Phillips Loses Control of Her Show. I think
cool.
That's what it's called.
I would watch that. If that was the name, I would tune in.
All right.
We don't care what the name is. It's some stupid ass show on CNN. Nobody cares.
Let me share this clip and then we'll talk about it.
All right.
No, I know you're not. This country illegally, you are going home. Simple as that. We do not have unlimited resources.
I think a lot of Americans
take care of other people.
There's a hell of a lot of people other than the black people who were brought here as slaves who came to this country illegally.
They're not the same as black people who were brought here against our will.
That's exactly what I just said. I said there is a lot of people
There's a big difference. There is a big difference.
That's exactly what I just said.
There is a big difference.
That's exactly what I just said, Sir Michael.
All right,
pause there. I got to say one thing first.
There. Yeah,
I got to say something because this is very common in the world of arguing between liberals and conservatives. There are liberals like this stupid ass woman, Anna Navarro. Yeah, I guess she's Hispanic. I mean, whatever. She's white,
supposedly a Democrat strategist.
Whatever. She's an idiot. There are white people, and I've seen them. They do it all the time. There are white people who will literally say to a black dude, "You don't understand problems facing the black community." They will literally say it. There's a famous video from the George Floyd riots. There's two white college girls, okay, and they're screaming at a black cop who's holding them back. And they're screaming "Black Lives Matter" at a black cop. The dude is a black guy. And these 2 little white college girls are screaming "Black Lives Matter" at a black dude. And that's what this is.
Well, he's probably thinking "Blue Lives Matter."
Right. And this woman thinks she knows about black issues. The dude is black. Like, I think Shermichael is more understanding of black issue, whatever that even means. There's no such thing as a black issue. There's a human issue. And if you would stop being racist on the left, the left is so freaking racist. And this is why they call us racist. They are so obsessed. It's all projection. They're obsessed with race. And so they assume we are obsessed with race. And if you're not racist, you treat black people the way you would treat anyone else. You treat them like a person. Some black people are jerks. Some are nice. Some white people are jerks. Some are nice. It's got nothing to do with their skin color. It has to do with the type of person they are. And when you're not racist, you're free to criticize a black person if they're wrong. And you say good things about them if they're right. You don't take into account their skin color. And that's what the left doesn't understand. So anyway.
Well, Shermichael does have his way of talking down to Anna Navarro.
I like him. I never heard of him, but I like him now.
Let's listen to more of him.
All right, good.
That's exactly what I just said.
Let me just share Michael.
Other than the black
Anna and share Michael.
There are a lot of people from
share Michael. I think you actually misheard what she. I think you misheard what she said.
No, he purposely misheard.
She said.
I purposely misheard. So now you're in my.
Share Michael. Listen to me for just a second.
Is that where we're going?
Share Michael.
I would say.
Okay, so here it's his fault. Suddenly,
right?
This is another thing that liberals tend to do is when you point out how wrong they are, they suddenly say, "Oh, you misheard it," or "Oh, you're relying on misinformation."
Right.
They can't sit back and admit that, maybe I shouldn't relate this directly to slavery, and maybe that is insulting to you. So
I don't even know what point she was trying to make. Other than black people who came here as slaves, there are a lot of people who came here illegally. What does that even mean?
But these people walked into the country willingly. You can't make the comparison because slaves were brought here against their will. Right. In horrible conditions. What
does it even have to do with immigration?
These are people that walked across the border and made a choice not to say, "Hey, I'm here because I'm in danger in my own country." If you come to us and say, "I'm in danger in my own country," we have a process whereby we say, all right, let's evaluate this danger. We're going to give you a court date. But we're talking about most of these people just came and didn't even give us a name.
For economic reasons. And that's not let's just stipulate.
I'm poor is not a reason to come to you.
No, let's just go ahead and say we agree.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to let us move on until we let this meltdown play out, because she gets to the point where Abby Phillips has to toss to a commercial to get these two to fight. And if you listen in the background as they go to commercial, they're still barking at each other. All right, here we go.
I who have advocated for black people my entire life and say something like that.
Because you've advocated for black people, great. Congratulations. Last time I checked, I'm black. You're not.
Okay, Sharon Michael.
That's right. I'm Latino, and my people are being racially profiled.
And do I have to remind you the history of my people? Do I want to go there?
I don't.
Do you really want to go there?
We're going to go to break. Raul Reyes, thank you very much for joining us. Everybody else, hang tight.
I never saw that part. Dude, I have never seen a host tossing to break while the people are yelling in the background.
It only happens in two places, like CNN and The View.
Good. I've never seen that. That is fantastic.
Because
normally people will respect the fact that the camera's rolling, but those two were so hot that they didn't even give a shit. That was good.
It was unbelievable. And it only happens on two channels, CNN and The View. Guess where Ana Navarro is? On both of those. Both of those. So that tells you something, that she's just an explosive, like she just has that attitude, that liberal attitude that I won't even listen to your side of the argument. I'm so set in my ways. But I have noticed, Bob, that CNN does seem to be coming around slowly. You know, they've got multiple people that at least give the other side of the story. There are conservatives that they're now allowing on the network. Well, Van Jones this morning, I didn't even pull the clip because I can just summarize it very quickly. Okay. Van Jones, I think it was yesterday on CNN, is interviewing 3 different black people who voted for Trump. And I think what he thought he would get is for them to say, oh, I'm very unhappy with myself for voting for Trump, and I wish I could go back and vote for Kamala Harris. All 3 of them said, no, I would vote for Trump again. No, I would vote for Trump. And the last person says, this beautiful black woman says, 1,000% no, I would vote for him again. I would vote for Trump again. I would not switch my vote. And you know what the interesting thing to me is that Van Jones was not that surprised. He wasn't really surprised at what he was hearing. And that tells me that CNN is kind of starting to come around and at least realizes that if they don't want to, lose everything and turn into just a joke, that they need to start changing their ways and be a real news outlet. So
I believe that when I see it. We'll see what happens.
Okay, so news outlets are not the only place where everybody's arguing. They're also doing it on podcasts because Democrats are starting to realize that podcasts are the future. We just figured it out 2 months ago, so they're right on our heels. We better hurry up, Bob. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm going to share. We got another clip here, and this is from the. It's called the Tara Palmieri podcast. So Tara Palmieri, she had David Hogg on. The co-chair of the DNC, I guess, in her last episode of her podcast, and they were talking about James Carville. They were talking about this whole idea. Here's James Carville right here. They were talking about the idea that he doesn't like the fact that David Hogg wants to spend money and raise money to primary other Democrats to get them out of the party. So that's the setup. And here's basically James Carville talking directly to David Hogg about that.
That's more power to him. I bet the Democratic Party should always be about democracy. But I remain manifestly unpersuaded that an official of the DNC or somebody who can go out and raise money to use to beat Republicans would use money to beat Democrats. And I mean, David, I've never changed my mind on that.
And here's the deal,
like every ethical principle that I've ever developed in my life.
James, there currently, in the past, there have been vice chairs previously who had done exactly what I am doing now, where they supported people in primaries while they were vice chairs of the DNC while they were out there. And part of the reason that is not a conflict of interest is because there isn't information that we have access to that could sway these elections in any serious way. What the DNC has rollover is specifically the presidential election. And in our
Okay, I'm going to stop it there just because the point that he is making, and this is what throughout, and I listened to this whole interview. So I listened to the whole podcast because I wanted to know what was going on here. And the problem is so he says, oh, there are co-chairs, vice chairs in the past that have supported candidates in primaries. But what Carville's point is, but they didn't use money that was raised from Democrat supporters to run against other Democrats.
Yeah, James Carville is right. And I'm no James Carville fan, but he's 100% right.
But Carville stuck to his guns.
Yeah, you can't use the money. People give this money to be used to beat Republicans. If you're donating to the DNC, you want to beat Republicans. That's why you donated. You want the Democrat to win. And by definition, if you're using the money in a primary, a Democrat is going to lose. That's the whole point of a primary. Only one Democrat can win. That means the 6 other Democrats will lose.
So Carville sticks to his guns here. I'm gonna play one more clip from this. Carville is sticking to his guns here, and the problem with David Hogg is he never. In fact, they ask him multiple times, "Well, who are you talking about when you say there are other vice chairs who have done what you're doing in the past?" Carville's like, "I've been around since Clinton, man, and I've never heard of this happening."
No, he's full of shit.
And David Hogg doesn't know what he's talking about, and so good for Carville for sticking to his guns. We're gonna play just a little bit more of this because I love the terms that James Carville comes up with. He's the king of, funny terminology. Here we go.
Yeah, let me be very specific. I think it is abominable that an official of a political party who is being paid or supported by that political party to go out and raise money to defeat members of the same party. I think that's a jackassery of the highest level.
James, can you tell me?
That's the one that I wanted to get.
I want to hear what is David trying to say right there.
All right, here.
Let me hear this.
If you want to beat Republicans, of which of course lefties never do, they never even run against them. That's one thing. I'm not into beating Democrats. I'm into beating Republicans.
James, I would say first of all, I am not paid to be a vice chair. The vice chair role is not a paid role at all.
What does that have to do with
anything?
I don't believe that.
What I would also say to that is that I think it's possible for us to do 2 things at once. We do, at my organization, Leaders We Deserve, support challenging Republicans that are in very vulnerable seats. And last cycle, we helped to break the majority for Democrats to have a 1-seat majority in the Virginia state legislature by spending $100,000 to do that. We spent $100,000 to support the candidate who broke the
Okay, so what he's doing now, Bob, he's getting in the weeds, and he doesn't have an answer for James Carville. And I listened to the whole podcast. He never has an answer for James Carville. And he basically, but David Hogg sticks to his guns and says, this is what I want to do. So we'll see if the DNC throws him out.
And there is some talk about that for sure. But he illustrates the problem they're having, and that is young people like David Hogg think the party didn't go far enough left. They think that they're not left enough. And they also think they have a great message, and they just didn't explain the message correctly to the people. This brings us back to that black dude.
And Carville says your message is bad. We need to go back to the middle.
The message is horrifying, but the Democrats are in such a bad place. They cannot disown the left side of their party. They can't. There is no mainstream Democrat. John Fetterman cannot come out and say the things he says and then be elected by the whole party. It just will not happen. So they're in a lot of trouble.
And this wasn't on the rundown, Bob, so we didn't talk about this in show prep, but there is now an article that just came out like in the last couple of days about how now John Fetterman's staffers are apparently setting off alarms because he's like losing it and he is not fit to be senator, which, was kind of the argument when he was running against Mehmet Oz in the first place, was that he's not there enough. But I think what's happening there is that John Fetterman is moving to the middle. So the Democrats to the far left are trying to say, okay, well, now it's time to throw him under the bus because he had a stroke. So basically they're saying what Republicans were saying when he was running for that Senate seat. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not they full turn on John Fetterman or whether John Fetterman's able to stand up and fight. I'm in John Fetterman's corner at this point because he seems like a reasonable guy.
He does seem like the type of Democrat that you could talk to, and those Democrats have no chance because the party is not coming back to the middle. If anything, it's going to go further left. They can't, and then they're going to just start attacking each other. And so that party is in big trouble. But I mean, the Republicans are so lame and weak that they will find a way to F this up. Like, they will manage. They've been given this gift on a silver platter. They will manage to ruin what they have. That I am unequivocally positive about. The Republicans are so weak and lame that they will mess this up. So we'll see what happens.
Well, so John Fetterman, though, is the kind of guy that I'd sit and chat with him at a bar, man. I would love to have an interesting conversation. But there's, next we have a Democrat that I would totally like. So I was doing karaoke last night at a bar, and look, the people were really nice, but there was one woman in particular that just got annoying. She was super sweet and she was nice and everything, but she just talked too much and was, cackling and laughing at everything and thought everything was too funny. So it just got a little bit annoying. And
we all know those women.
Right. And so this next person is one of those that I would get so irritated with if I happened to be stuck next to her sitting at a bar while she's talking. And that's Kamala Harris. You can kind of understand that. And here's why. Wait, I'm going to share this. Here is why, because she can't even get through a speech without starting that cackling shit again. Yeah. So let me share this, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard it, but it's worth hearing again.
But that's not a reason to throw up our hands.
Here it comes.
In fact, please allow me, friends, to digress for a moment.
No, don't.
Okay. It's kind of dark here, but I'm asking for a show of hands. Who saw that video from a couple of weeks ago? The one of the elephants at the San Diego Zoo during the earthquake?
He's already laughing. It's not funny.
I've not seen it.
Oh my God, this woman is so weird.
That scene has been on my mind. Everybody's asking me what you've been thinking about these days. Well,
yeah, elephants.
So in the video, for those who haven't seen it, here those elephants were. And as soon as they felt the earth shaking beneath their feet, they got in a circle and stood next to each other to protect the most vulnerable.
Okay, so she cackles about everything, and she nothing she says is funny.
She literally is like, did anyone see that video?
Google it.
Wait, Google it. She cackles at the parts that are just,
and there are like three people back there going,
yeah. It's like, hey, did you know I had a cup of coffee? And then I put sugar in it? I mean, that's Kamala Harris. She laughs about the dumbest shit. What is wrong with that woman? Maybe she is drunk.
Okay, and what is wrong with
she is not our president?
And what is wrong with her running mate? Because this week, week was so easy to produce this podcast. We had so much to do to put into the podcast. We had to leave almost everything, just leave in what we call the B&B text thread. So Bob and I text with my sister Carrie all the time, and we just throw ideas back and forth. And then at the end of the week, we go back and we pick the best stuff. Well, there was too much best stuff this week, including this one from our buddy Tim Walls. Tampon Tim. And we're going to play, and I have no idea what kind of man code he is talking about here, but he's trying to explain why he was picked to be the vice presidential running mate.
I was on the ticket. I would argue because we did a lot of amazing progressive things in Minnesota.
Oh yeah, that's why.
But I also was on the ticket, quite honestly, because I could code talk to white guys watching football, fixing their truck, doing that I could put them at ease. I was the permission structure to say, look, you can do this and vote for this. And you look across those swing states, with the exception of Minnesota, we didn't get enough of those votes.
So, Tim, you say that you were on the ticket to code talk to white people. First of all, I've been white for 59 years. I have no idea what a code talk to white people even means. So that's number one.
Come on, Bob. Two, we have a special website that we keep the codes on. We don't allow white man website.
People of color on there. How did that work out, Tim? How did you do with white guys? Because you failed. You utterly failed to talk to white men. And if you listen to what he's saying there, He's saying I gave the permission structure. So in the mind of Democrats, this is how mentally ill these people are. In his mind, there are white people out there that said to themselves, gosh, I want to vote Democrat, but I see this black chick and, I can't vote for a black person. Oh, wait, there's a white person near her? Oh, well, I didn't.
Well, now you should have told me
that there was a white guy near the black chick. That gives me permission to vote for the black chick. All right, now it's fine.
And Bob, their problem is not just white. In fact, like I told you, I listened to that whole David Hogg, James Carville thing, and David Hogg went on and on during this podcast about how young white men are fleeing the left and the Democrat Party like in droves. And he said that by his research, not only is it happening in the United States, it's happening worldwide. And I think it goes back to your theory about nobody wants to make the same decision as their middle-aged mom.
It's the simplest thing in the world. It's so easy. Anyone who has a 20-something, it's a man. I think of them as boys, but technically, if you're 20, you're a grown man. Anyone who has a 20-year-old man in their lives, it's the easiest thing in the world to see. These guys are whatever their mother is doing, they're going to do the opposite. So, and it's just the simplest thing in the world. If their mother goes up, they want to go down. They just want to do the opposite of their mother. So back when in the 50s, when their mothers were super conservative, then the 60s came along and the teenage and 20-something boys all became super liberal because they wanted to be the opposite of their mother. And now that all of their mothers are these annoying middle-aged white women.
Karens.
Especially the men. The Democrat men are the most annoying middle-aged white women that exist. Of course, these boys are all turning conservative. There couldn't be anything more easy to predict than this.
The next clip is something that I talked to you about setting up, and it's this clip where, and I don't even know where the audio from back in the 50s came from, but it's someone talking about how to combat anti-communists, like people who don't want to be communists and become communists. So I want to play this clip, but
I know where it's from.
Okay.
It's from the American Communist Party. There still is today. There is an American Communist Party. They've been around forever. This is where like all the what's that famous senator that was doing hearings? McCarthy. Okay. Yep. So that's what he was looking into, the McCarthyism in the 50s. There was a lot of people and of course, the Soviet Union was our enemy. Communism was our enemy. And a lot of Americans thought that communism was good. And so this is put out by the American Communist Party sometime in the late 50s.
And then, but it is mashed together with a bunch of politicians and political pundits and left-wing journalists. So you're going to hear basically this representative of the Communist Party, and then you're going to hear the things that these journalists and pundits are saying. This is just a clip off of TikTok that Bob found, but we think that it is very telling when you listen to it in this order. Yeah. So here we go. I'm going to share screen, and we're doing it.
The following directive was issued from party headquarters to all communists in the United States. It read, when certain obstructionists become too irritating, label them as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic. In the public mind, constantly associate those who oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind.
Fascist political party. Radicals on the far right.
Anti-Semitic.
Xenophobic.
Transphobic.
Uncle Tom's
white supremacist.
Domestic terrorist.
Neo-Nazi organizer.
Nazis. You are an anti-vaxxer.
Anti-vaxxers.
Racist.
Okay.
That's so much. It is so true. And it just shows that today's Democrat Party they are communist. It has always been a communist party. I saw a thing.
And that does explain why Nazi comes up all the time and why dictator comes up all the time. And all of these words keep coming up when none of it's happening.
the Democrats just constantly throw out these words that are not true. And people, this is why their party has 18% approval rating. This is the reason right here.
And it keeps going down. I remember a few podcasts ago, and we just remember we just had the 10th episode, which was fantastic. But then 11. I looked back, and we only started posting our episodes like 8 weeks ago.
Right.
So that's pretty good.
This is a new
10 episodes
endeavor.
and 8. Yeah, it's a new endeavor. But as we come to the end of this one, we can't end this podcast without the biggest smackdown of the whole week, which came from Donald Trump against this ABC news anchor that no one knew his name.
Terry Moron.
Terry Moron. And Trump, this is one of the best.
Yes,
so
it is.
We're going to share one more clip for you, and then we'll get out of your way for the day. But this is Donald Trump versus Terry Moron from ABC News. And this is off the Sun, the U.S. Sun's website.
Right. Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS13.
It says MS13.
Yeah, that was photoshopped. So let me
That was photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry. But you're not being very nice. He had MS13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry.
First of all, he has a marijuana leaf on his index finger. On his middle finger.
Which means M.
Which is M. On his middle finger, he has a smiley face, which is S. On his ring finger, there's a cross, which is the 1. And on his pinky, there is the letter C.
Skull.
It's a skull, or it could be a C, and that's for the third letter in the alphabet. Now, there are pictures out there where someone took a picture of his knuckles and wrote MS13 over the knuckle tattoos. That's what Trump's talking about. Trump does not think he has the letter M tattooed. Trump knows that he has a marijuana leaf, which signifies M. Terry Moron is trying to say that Trump thinks that the picture illustrating what the tattoos mean, that Trump thinks that's the actual tattoo. And that is bullshit. Trump does not think that.
And the reason that they know that that's true is because of gang experts, people who have infiltrated these gangs, and they know what the certain symbols mean. And I thought we were to trust the experts. I mean, when COVID was around, trust the experts.
You clearly have to go by symbolism tattoos, and this guy has them. He is in MS13. Not one, but 2 courts have said that he is. So there's his due process right there.
There you go.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're getting a little long in the tooth, as they say, for a podcast, Bob. So I think we probably should start wrapping it up. I don't want to wrap it up, though, before I show my shirt of the day, which is
1984.
It looks like a Van Halen symbol, but it actually says 1984 right there. And the reason that I'm wearing it is because I noticed all week on one of the shows that we watch, which is The Five. So we both usually watch The Five, and you finally noticed it. For some reason, they played Van Halen songs for their bump music all week long. Like they were playing Van Hagar, they were playing David Lee Roth. So I loved it. I was like, I was hooked on The Five. I kept rewinding and listening to the clips again and again and again. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Five.
The world famous, the world's most famous Van Halen tribute band, and it's extra special for me because I am class of 1984. I graduated high school in 1984.
There you go. I'm 86.
It means a lot to me. Yeah,
but 1984 was a great year for music. We have to admit.
Oh my God!
Also, one of the best albums that Van Halen ever put out. It was their first number one. No, it was their first number one album.
Right.
So, no,
and Jump was I think Jump was their first number one hit.
Yeah. Anyway,
off of that.
All right. So
folks.
We do want to thank all of you out there. We call you the chosen few because for most of you, we have personally invited you, although that doesn't explain whoever's listening in Russia right now.
Right.
So, I don't get it. I do have friends over in the UK, so I'm sure some of my friends over in the UK are the ones that are listening in the UK, but Russia cannot be explained. We're going to try and figure that out as the
Thank you, Russia.
time progresses.
Hi, Russia.
Yeah. And over in Russia, make sure that you subscribe, you comment, and you give us 5 stars or whatever, we still have all 5 stars and all thumbs up. Nobody's given us a thumbs down yet, so I'm waiting for that one person that gets pissed off at us. Yeah. But when we haven't been canceled, we're at show number 11 now, and we haven't been canceled. So we must be doing something right, Bob.
We're doing it.
I don't know.
Love it.
All right, we're going to let you go again with a little music from Rico Monaco. Have a great week, everybody.